Recently, Ubisoft came out and said that the Division 2 had 10 to 12 times more players on the U launcher than the Division 1 had. You can take that however you want to. You can attribute that to it being on the Epic Games Store. You can attribute it to not being on the Epic Games Store. However you want to do it. I don't think that Division 1 was so great that it would have brought new players in, if I'm being honest with you. I have the Division 1. I have it on PS4. I got to like the third or fourth mission and I stopped playing. And I never do that for any game. I think the Division 2 is a great game, but recently, if you don't know, the raid was released. Many people, including myself, thought that it would have matchmaking in it when they specifically release the things within the game. I don't know what you would want to call it, but on it, it said every activity will have matchmaking. Every difficulty will have matchmaking. Lo and behold, here comes the raid. One day before, sorry, no matchmaking. And I'm one of those people where I was 100% for matchmaking. And then the raid actually came out and I saw it. And I'm telling you, I'm 50-50 split on it. I believe in giving people the option to use matchmaking. But the other part of me says that I'm not saying don't include matchmaking because I want to be an elitist in any way. I'm not playing this game anymore. I'm just telling you that straight up right now. I got the 500 gear score. I have multiple pieces of damage to elites because that's where my build was going. But this game, in the direction it's going in, I don't like it. One of the reasons I left Destiny anyway, it's not the sole reason, but one of them was because I hated every single week having to go LFG for a group, week in and week out. It's like you keep playing it every single week, so you're getting better at it. But each week there could be one new guy in your group that hasn't played it as much as you. You're putting in most of the part, and some people will just sort of tag along. And I got tired of that. The no matchmaking in Destiny is what I grew tired of. People want to say that there should be no matchmaking because it would be hard for pickup groups. And honestly, I don't follow your logic. I 100% don't, because if you have matchmaking in it, then people will go into it. If they don't know how to do it, they'll go look online. If they go look online and then they figure it out, then they'll go back to it. They'll keep trying it until they get it right. And eventually, the only way you will ever succeed is if you at least have the ability to try it. And if you never have the ability to try it, then you won't get better. You say you want to go play the raid? Okay, fine. You're going to a pickup group. They completed it 5 and 6 times. You've not even done it once. Because you never had the ability to do that in matchmaking, you're going to hold everybody else back. That's just my opinion on it. A lot of the tryhards will say there shouldn't be matchmaking. It should be LFG only. And the same argument goes over and over and over. And it's like they just want to blindly, or can't really hear from your eyes unless you're a bat, I guess. They use clicking and that's their vision. So sound, technically vibrations. Bats are not actually blind though. Did you know fact there? I was just as shocked as you when I learned that. Back to the Division though. Those people who don't want matchmaking in the raids, I don't understand them, because it's as simple as you not using that feature. You don't want to matchmake? By all means, don't matchmake. It's the same people in Trials of Osiris and Destiny who will argue tooth and nail that there shouldn't be matchmaking in there. It's the pinnacle activity. It's for the best of the best. And then I just think to myself, Rainbow Six Siege has matchmaking, and that's literally on the up and coming of being an E-League sport more than Call of Duty. What's that other popular game that people like? Overwatch? Matchmaking for every single tier of skill level and competitive. These types of games create this type of mentality. These types of games breed elitism. They are the reason that those types of players exist. They feel that they're God tier, and if you try to belittle their skill in saying that it can be match made, then they don't feel as elitist. They don't have that same mentality anymore. So they want to be like, hey, this is the pinnacle activity. This should only be done by the pinnacle players. Marco Styles group, towards the very end, on the very run that they succeeded on to beat the raid, people started blaming one of the other guys called the other guy a jackass. And you could sort of tell that they were getting angry. They were getting grumpy. They were really wanting this to end really soon. Luckily for them, they beat it. If they would have wiped there, I think they probably wouldn't have got even close to that again because they were getting tilted. But as you see, these types of activities, it's not great for your game. And this is what happened with Destiny. Trials of Osiris from the start didn't include matchmaking. Raids didn't include matchmaking. So it made these people feel like they're god tier. It made them feel like they're unbeatable, like they're the best of the best, when in fact they're not, because half of the pickup groups I would run with, no one wanted to be Swordbearer on Crota. No one wanted to run the Stairway to Heaven on Oryx. No one wanted to get the Chalice on Atheon. No one wanted to do these. These are the people that want to think they're good at games, but they're not. And I don't have a problem calling them out because they're the people that have the elitist mentality. The majority reason why I made this video is simply because the CFO said he wanted the raid to bring in new players. And unfortunately for him, I think King Ithalian put it as well as anyone could possibly do it. If the raid had released within the month that Division 2 was out, then more people would be inclined to do it. So unfortunately for the CFO of Ubisoft, your wish is not going to be granted. Your hope is not going to come to fruition. Not many people is going to be playing this raid. Even less people will be succeeding. And this is coming from someone who completed every single Destiny raid up until Destiny 2's initial launch raid, and that's pretty much when I stopped playing the game. I did play Curse of Osiris and Warmind. I didn't do the raids because, like I said, I grew tired of having to LFG from a third-party site. I just grew tired of it. If I would have kept playing, I'm 100% sure, no doubt in my mind, know for a fact that I would have beaten those raids. This raid though, the Division 2's raid, it's just so tedious, and how I was feeling just watching it, it was mind-numbing almost. So I'm not saying it's a bad raid, I'm just saying it's boring. I feel like the raid and the Division 2 will make the toxicity levels far exceed anything that's ever been in Destiny. If you were here in the last 3 weeks with a Division 2 and you went on the subreddit, you would see just how toxic some people are. The guy who beat the raid, Marco style, he's infamous for being toxic in the Dark Zone. At least when it came to Destiny, the people who beat the raid were never really toxic. Matter of fact, in Destiny, you could never really be toxic in any way. But when your most prominent guy is known for being toxic in the Dark Zone and he's the one that completes your raid, you just set a precedent of who the type of people are that's going to be playing your game, who's going to be beating this raid, the type of mentality they will have. That's not a good image on your part.